Ahoy there, internet traveler. Happy to have you aboard. If this is your first time here, subscribe and share the fun. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. I read every comment. Let's get rolling. My name is Dave Mitchell. I'm 42 years old, and I run a small custom woodworking business out of my garage. It's not glamorous, but it covered our expenses and supported my wife Lydia and our 16-year-old daughter Maya. At least it did. That was before everything unraveled while I sat in front of my laptop, watching the destruction of my marriage unfold in vivid detail. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Maya said, as she stepped into the workshop. I was sitting there frozen, eyes locked on the screen that had just shattered the illusion of my life. "It's nothing, sweetheart." "Just something for work," I muttered, slamming the laptop shut, my fingers still trembling. "Weren't you supposed to be at practice?" I asked, trying to steady my voice. "Coach canceled. Mom's not back yet and I'm starving. Can you make me a sandwich?" Without answering, I got up and followed her into the house. The same house where, just hours ago, Lydia had been with someone else. The same bedroom we'd shared for more than 15 years. The same bed where Maya had once curled up between us during thunderstorms. Where I'd held Lydia through nights of tears while her father battled cancer. And now, that familiar space felt stripped of its soul, like a place I no longer recognized. "Hello, Dad?" Maya waved her hand in front of my face. "You're acting super weird." "Sorry, kiddo." "Just got a project swirling around in my head," I said, grateful for the chance to blame something else. I opened the refrigerator. "Turkey and Swiss good?" "Perfect." "Oh, and Mom texted. She's working late again. Big HR thing." "Working late," I repeated, my tone flat. 3 weeks earlier, I'd decided to install cameras around the house. Our neighbor, Mrs. Feldman, had mentioned some strange activity during the day. I assumed it was potential burglars. But what got stolen wasn't anything physical. It was my trust. I made her sandwich on autopilot, my hands moving while my brain struggled to catch up. The man in the footage was Chris Brennan, Lydia's co-worker from the regional branch. I'd run into him at a few company mixers, fit, overly confident, reeking of expensive cologne, always bragging about his fitness records, the kind of guy who made snide comments about real men who worked with their hands. Dad? That's a mustard waterfall?" I looked down and realized I'd been holding the bottle too long, mustard spilling out onto the bread like a yellow flood. My thoughts had been consumed by fury. After Maya finished her sandwich and went upstairs to work on her homework, I returned to the garage. This time my thoughts were sharper, more deliberate. I've always been good at building things, and just as skilled at taking them apart. Tonight I was going to start dismantling Lydia's carefully polished world, piece by piece. My first call was to Eddie, my oldest friend and the guy who owns Murphy's Tavern. "Dave, everything okay?" "Eddie, I need a favor, a big one." "Name it." "If anyone asks, I was at your place tonight. From 6 o'clock until close. Can you back me up on that?" There was a pause. "Dave, what's going on?" "I caught Lydia cheating. I've got the footage. I just need cover for what I'm about to do." "Jesus Christ, you serious?" "As a heart attack. Clear video, clear sound. That snake? I've got your back, man. Just don't do anything you'll end up regretting. No violence. But people are going to find out what she's been hiding." Next, I reached out to Lydia's parents, Judith and Alan Hartwell. They lived in a grand old Victorian on Maple Street, a family home passed down over generations. Old school values, regular churchgoers, strong believers in traditional family. "Hi, Alan. It's Dave. I need to speak with you and Judith. It's urgent. Can I come over tonight?" "Of course, son. Are you all right? You sound upset." "I'll explain in person." "And Alan, make sure Judith is sitting down when I do." At exactly 7:30 p.m., I stood on their porch, laptop bag slung over my shoulder. Judith opened the door. Despite the hour, her hair was neatly pinned, her expression warm. "Dave, dear, come on in. Alan's in the living room. Would you like a cup of coffee?" "No, thank you, Judith. But I think you should sit down." We gathered in their elegant living room, polished wood floors, antique furniture, and family portraits gazing from the walls. I placed my laptop on the coffee table between us. 3 weeks ago, I installed some cameras around our house, I began, my tone calm but unwavering. I thought someone might have been trying to break in. What I uncovered was far worse than anything I had anticipated. I swiveled the laptop so they could see the screen clearly. This was recorded today. 2:47 in the afternoon, I said, then hit play. Judith inhaled sharply, her hand flying to her mouth in horror. Alan's complexion went from ghostly white to a deep, furious red, darkening into rage. "Please," Judith whispered, barely audible. "Turn it off." I closed the laptop without hesitation, but my voice remained calm. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I have hours of this, different days, multiple angles. Alan shot up so quickly his chair scraped the floor behind him. His fists were balled tight at his sides. "She's our daughter," he growled. "We raised her to know better, to have values, to be faithful." "I hate that you had to see it like this," I replied evenly, "but you deserve to know before I make my next move." Tears welled up in Judith's eyes. "What are you going to do, Dave?" "I'm going to make sure the truth isn't buried," I said. "Her friends, her co-workers, the ladies at church, everyone will know what she's done. If she was willing to destroy our marriage, I'll make sure her image goes down with it." Alan gave a grim nod. "She made this bed. Let her lie in it." "She's clearly picked Chris Brennan over me," I added. "Let her deal with what comes next." The next day, I began putting my plan into motion. First, I phoned my assistant. "Ray, something's come up," I told him. "Family situation. I'll need to be out for a few days." Then I called Lydia at her job. "Hey, hun," I said casually, masking my tone. "Got a last-minute commission. Custom dining table for a tech guy in Chicago. High-paying gig, but I'll be out of town until Friday." "Oh," she said, her voice a little too cheerful to be convincing. "That's great, Dave. The extra money helps." "Yeah," I replied. "Heading out this afternoon. Give Maya a hug for me when she gets back from school." "Will do. Safe drive." Once we ended the call, I made another, this time to our retired neighbor, Mrs. Feldman, who was better informed than any security camera ever could be. "Hi, Mrs. Feldman, it's Dave Mitchell from next door." "Oh, hello, dear. How are you holding up?" "I'm doing okay. Actually, I'll be out of town for a couple of days, and was wondering if you could keep an eye on the place. Just flag anything unusual." "Oh, you bet, sweetheart. You know I watch everything on this block." Exactly what I needed. Mrs. Feldman's grapevine would see what I couldn't. I spent the rest of the day killing time at Eddie's bar, nursing one slow drink and waiting for the pieces to move. At 4 p.m., a message from Lydia popped up. "Chris is coming over for dinner. Meeting about the Henderson project. Don't wait up. Safe travels." Of course, the infamous Henderson project. By 6 p.m., I had parked several blocks away and made my way to the house via the old wooded path behind our backyard. From the large oak, the one where Maya's tire swing used to hang, and where Lydia and I had carved our initials 20 years ago, I had a perfect view of the bedroom window. At exactly 7:15, Chris Brennan's silver BMW pulled into the driveway. He got out holding a bottle of wine and a bouquet, my wine, my flowers, and my wife. I grabbed my phone and called home. Lydia picked up on the second ring. "Hey, babe," I said smoothly. "Just checking in. I made it to Chicago just fine." "Oh, good," she replied quickly. "Chris and I are just going over the Henderson proposal." "Chris is there? At the house?" "Yeah, we're reviewing documents. It's complicated, but you know how these things go." "Right. Don't stay up too late. Love you." "Love you too. Bye." She ended the call in a hurry. Through the front window, I watched him steer her toward the stairs, his hand on the small of her back like he belonged there. I gave it 30 more minutes. Then I made my move. My house key still worked. I slipped inside, careful not to make a sound. What I heard from upstairs turned my stomach. I crept over to the hall closet and pulled out my old Louisville Slugger, the bat from my high school days. Lydia had tried to toss it years ago. Lucky for me, I kept it. Then I placed one last call. "Alan, it's Dave. I need you and Judith to come over. Now." "What's going on?" he asked, alarmed. "She's here." With him, in our house, right now. We're coming. I waited outside on the porch, the bat resting against my leg, heart pounding. 10 minutes later, the Hartwells pulled into the driveway. Alan looked like he was ready to break something. Judith clutched her purse tightly, jaw clenched. "Are you absolutely sure?" Judith asked, voice trembling. "Listen closely," I said. We stood in the chilly evening air, and the sounds drifting down from the upstairs window left no room for denial. "Oh my God," Judith murmured, her voice barely audible. I slid the key into the door and turned it. "After you," I said evenly. Together, the three of us climbed the staircase, united by a shared fury, every step driven by betrayal. The bedroom door was shut, but not locked. I grasped the handle and slowly pushed it open. Inside, they were so lost in each other they didn't register our presence at first. Chris was lounging comfortably in my bathrobe, the one Lydia gave me for Christmas 3 years ago. As for Lydia, she had nothing on but her grandmother's pearl necklace. "Well, isn't this charming?" I said, raising my voice. "Seems the Henderson project's a bit more hands-on than advertised." Lydia screamed and lunged for the blanket. Chris scrambled to his feet, slipped, and crashed into the dresser, sending my watch collection flying. "Dave," Lydia choked out, eyes wide, "you're supposed to be in Chicago." "Had a change of itinerary," I replied calmly, "and I didn't come alone." That's when she noticed the 2 figures standing behind me. Judith stared at her daughter as if she were seeing a stranger. Alan's eyes were fixed on Chris, burning with quiet, focused rage. "Mom? Dad?" Lydia stammered. "Why are you here?" "We wanted to see what kind of woman we raised," Alan said, his voice quaking. "Looks like we failed somewhere along the way." Chris, now in a panic, tried to pull on his pants while hopping clumsily around the room. He looked utterly pathetic. "Mr. Hartwell, Mrs. Hartwell, this isn't what it looks like," he babbled. Alan's expression didn't change. "Really? What exactly should I be seeing?" "I can explain," Lydia said quickly, still clutching the sheet around her. "Oh, please do," I said, folding my arms and leaning casually against the doorframe. "I'm dying to hear how this is all just a big misunderstanding." She opened her mouth but didn't speak. What could she say? That she fell and landed on top of him by accident? "You disgust me," Judith said in a low, bitter voice. "Both of you. This house, this bed, this is where our granddaughter was conceived." That hit hard. Lydia broke down sobbing, but it wasn't remorse, it was self-pity. The kind of tears shed when someone's caught, not when they're ashamed. "Everyone just needs to breathe and be rational," Chris interjected, now fully dressed, trying to sound calm. "We're all adults here. Let's handle this like adults." I laughed, a short, humorless sound. "Adults? Real adults don't sneak into another man's house and sleep with his wife. Real adults don't lie about late meetings while playing house in someone else's bed." "Dave, please," Lydia cried. "Can we talk alone? Just you and me?" "No," I said coldly. "Secrets are what got us here. No more shadows. From now on, everything stays in the open." Chris tried to squeeze past me, but I stepped in front of him. "Where do you think you're going, champ?" "I'm leaving. This is between you and Lydia." "Wrong," I said, reaching to the corner and grabbing my baseball bat. "You're not walking out just yet." He froze, then cautiously backed up and sat on the edge of the bed, still wrapped in my robe, sloppily dressed. It was almost laughable. "Here's how this is going to work," I said, looking at both of them. "You're going to tell her parents the truth, everything. How long this has been happening?" "Dave, don't," Lydia whispered. "How long?" Alan asked, his voice sharp as a blade. Lydia dropped her eyes. 6 months. 6 months, I echoed. Half a year of made-up meetings and dinner with clients. Half a year of lies and deceit. "It wasn't premeditated," Chris muttered. "It just developed." "Oh, naturally," Judith sneered. "There's nothing natural about cheating on your spouse, young man." "You don't understand, Mrs. Hartwell," Chris said defensively. "The pressure at work, it's intense. Lydia and I, we just connected emotionally." "Spare us the corporate cliches," I snapped. "You wanted to sleep with my wife. Mission accomplished. At least have the guts to say it. Alan stepped forward, fixing his gaze directly on Lydia. Lydia, he said quietly, look at me. Slowly, she lifted her tear-streaked face. Your mother and I raised you with values. We taught you loyalty, integrity, commitment. Do you even remember that? I don't know, she whispered. I felt like I was drowning, suffocated by the monotony of our daily life. Then Chris appeared, and suddenly everything felt new and thrilling again. Thrilling, I repeated, voice flat. Let's see how thrilled you are when your coworkers see what I've got. His face went pale. What are you talking about? I tilted my head slightly. The footage. I had cameras installed 3 weeks ago. They captured everything, every hug, every kiss, every time you came into my house to sleep with my wife. All in perfect HD. The audio's flawless. That's illegal, Lydia snapped, panic rising in her voice. You can't spy on us like that. You're mistaken, I replied coolly. It's my house. I have full legal authority to record anything that happens here, and I can share that evidence with anyone I choose. Tears welled in her eyes. Dave, please. Think about Maya. She's our daughter. I am thinking of her, I said, voice level. I'm thinking about what kind of example she's been living with. A mother who cheats, lies, and brings her affair partner into her childhood home. Chris stiffened. I'm not just some random guy. I've been part of your life. Holidays, backyard parties, even Christmas. Exactly, I said, my voice hard. You drank my beer, smiled at my family, and shook my hand, while sneaking around with my wife. That doesn't make you better. That makes you a snake. Judith turned to Lydia, her expression full of disdain. How could you do this? To your family? To the promises you made before God? You don't know what it's like being married to him, Lydia shot back, pointing at me. He's always in the garage, always exhausted. Never wants to go anywhere or have fun. So your solution was to jump into bed with someone more exciting? I said, my tone dripping with bitter irony. Problem solved, right? Alan let out a heavy sigh and shook his head. We're leaving. Come on, Judith. Not just yet, I interjected, lifting a hand to stop them. There's still something else. I reached for my phone and opened my photos. Chris, you'll want to see this. I turned the screen toward him, showing a crystal-clear image of his BMW parked squarely in my driveway. License plate perfectly visible. I've been keeping a log. Every visit. Date-stamped photos, entry and exit times, even what you brought inside. 3 weeks of solid documentation. He looked stunned, like the wind had been knocked out of him. What do you want? I want you to understand that your little fantasy world is about to crash. Jessica, your girlfriend, is going to find out. So will your manager, your friends at the gym. Everyone's going to learn who Chris Brennan really is, the guy who stalks married women. You bastard, he hissed. Oh, really? I raised an eyebrow. I'm not the one who wormed his way into another man's marriage for half a year. Lydia stood up, one hand gripping the sheet around her like it was armor. Fine. If you want a divorce, you'll get one. But you're not dragging me through the dirt over this. Dragging you? I laughed without humor. You did that the moment you let him into our bedroom. This is harassment, she yelled. The court won't let you get away with this. You can't destroy us. I don't have to destroy anything, I replied calmly. I'm simply telling the truth. Sharing security footage from my own home, totally legal. Informing others about what I saw, also legal. Letting people know what kind of people you both are, absolutely within my rights. Chris suddenly rose to his feet. I'm out of here. Be my guest, I said, stepping aside. But before you leave, you might want to check your car. He shoved past me, storming down the stairs. A few seconds later, a furious shout echoed from the driveway. Lydia's voice trembled. What did you do? Nothing illegal, I said evenly. But you should probably see it for yourself. She peeked out the window and gasped in disbelief. Across the windshield of Chris's car, in bright red spray paint, someone had written, Home Wrecker. You can't do this, she shrieked. It's already done, I answered quietly. And believe me, that's just the beginning. Alan stepped beside Judith, gently pulling her into his side. "We're going," he said sternly. "Lydia, don't reach out until you're ready to offer a real apology for this shameful mess." Once her parents had gone, Lydia spun back toward me, fury blazing in her eyes. "You think you're clever, don't you? You think you've won? There's no victory here," I said simply. "All I did was expose the truth. The rest? That's just consequences." "I'll bury you in court," she snarled. "I'll take everything. Your house, your company, even that garage you love so much." I folded my arms. "You might want to brush up on the law. This state still recognizes fault-based divorce. Adultery is one of them. And believe me, I've got more than enough proof." She stared me down, holding the silence just long enough to signal she was working out her next move. "Maya's going to hate you for this," she said at last. "She's going to hold responsible the person who actually destroyed this family," I said evenly. "That's you, just in case you're unsure." Without another word, I turned and headed toward the front door. "Where are you going?" she called after me. "Out," I said without looking back. "This might still legally be my home, but I can't breathe inside it anymore." I drove straight to Murphy's Tavern. Eddie was already there, beer in hand, with that expectant look that said he was ready to listen. "Well?" he asked as I sat down. "How did it play out?" "Better than expected," I replied, taking a long drink. "Her parents saw the whole thing unfold. Chris is probably still out there scrubbing red paint off his windshield." Eddie laughed, shaking his head. "Man, you really didn't hold back. That took nerve." "I've got one more thing I need," I said, setting the glass down. "Name it." "I need you to let the story slip. To a few folks. Nothing flashy. Just casual, over drinks." He gave me a lopsided grin. "Casual gossip? Yeah, I can manage that." Murphy's Tavern wasn't a place built for secrets. They evaporated faster than a poured pint. By the time the lights flicked on at closing time, most of the neighborhood would know that Lydia Mitchell had been cheating on her husband with some hotshot office guy. About 3 beers in, my phone buzzed with notifications. The first was from Mrs. Feldman. "Dear, I just saw a young man rushing out of your house. Is everything okay?" I texted her back. "All's good now, Mrs. Feldman. Thank you for keeping an eye out." Next came a message from Chris. "You'll pay for what you did to my car." I replied, "Send me the repair estimate. I'll hang it on my wall." Then Lydia messaged, "We need to talk." I didn't respond, but the final message stopped me cold. It was from Maya. "Dad, Mom's crying and won't tell me what's wrong." "Where are you?" The alcohol cleared from my system instantly. I called her right away. "Hey, sweetheart." "Dad? What's going on?" "She's locked herself in your room, and there's red paint all over the driveway. I'll be there in 20 minutes. We need to have a conversation. Is everything okay?" "No, honey." "It's not, but it will be." The drive back felt heavier with every mile. Maya was perceptive beyond her age, but at the end of the day, she was still 16. How do you tell your teenage daughter that her mother's been unfaithful? When I walked in, Maya was curled up on the couch, waiting. Lydia was nowhere to be seen. "You're scaring me, Dad." "What's going on?" she asked. I sat down next to her. "Maya, your mom and we're getting divorced." Her expression collapsed. "Why? What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," I said softly. "Your mother's been involved with someone else." She blinked. "What do you mean, involved?" "I mean, she's been in a relationship with another man. For the last 6 months?" She stared at me, stunned. "You're sure?" "I have video evidence," I said. Maya buried her face in her hands. "Oh my God, who is it?" "Someone from her work." "That's not really the point." "It is to me," she muttered. "I want to know who broke us." I sighed deeply. "Chris Brennan. You've met him, drives that showy car, always talking about the gym at company functions." She was quiet for a beat. Then, barely audible, "I hate her." "Don't say that," I said gently. "She's still your mother." "She's a liar. A cheater. How could she do this to us?" "I don't have the answer, kiddo. Sometimes people make choices they can't undo. This wasn't a slip-up," she said bitterly. "This was deliberate. This was cruel." Before I could respond, Lydia appeared at the top of the staircase. "Maya, can we talk?" she asked softly. "No," Maya snapped. "I don't want to hear anything from you." "Please, baby, let me explain." "Explain what?" Maya shot back. "That you've been lying for half a year? That you brought your boyfriend into our home?" Lydia began descending the stairs cautiously. "It's complicated, Maya. Grown-up relationships can be—" "I know what cheating is," Maya interrupted. "I know what lies are. You didn't just mess up, you crushed everything we had because you were bored." "That's not fair," Lydia said, her voice strained. "Fair?" Maya stood, her tone rising. "You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that Dad had to catch you with security cameras? Is it fair that I had to find out my own mother is a fraud?" "Maya, don't go," Lydia pleaded, her voice shaking. "I'm going to stay at Grandma and Grandpa Hartwell's," Maya said, barely holding herself together. "I can't even look at you right now." Without waiting for a reply, she turned and ran upstairs to grab her things. Lydia turned to me, desperation written across her face. "Dave, please, help me fix this." "Fix it?" I repeated with a bitter smile. "Lydia, what's broken here can't be patched up. Some damage is final." "It was a terrible lapse in judgment," she insisted, speaking quickly. "A foolish, awful mistake." I shook my head. "No, a mistake is leaving the oven on. What you did? That was intentional and ongoing. For half a year. I'll end it with Chris," she blurted out. "I'll do anything you say." "It's too late for that," I replied, voice cold. Maya came back downstairs, a duffel bag slung across her shoulder. "I called Grandma." "She's on her way," she announced, not making eye contact. "Maya, don't leave," Lydia begged, her voice cracking. "We can work through this, together. As a family." "We're not a family anymore," Maya said, her tone cutting. "You destroyed that." About 20 minutes later, Judith Hartwell's car pulled into our driveway. She walked up the path without so much as a glance at Lydia, and gently took Maya's bag before leading her granddaughter to the car. The door shut behind them, and silence settled in. Lydia and I stood facing one another like strangers in the ruins of what used to be a life together. "What now?" she asked softly, almost afraid of the answer. "Now you gather your things and find another place to stay," I said. "I'll be filing for divorce tomorrow." Her eyes flared. "I live here too." "Not anymore," I said, keeping my tone even. "I looked into it this morning. In cases of infidelity-based divorce, the court tends to award the home to the innocent spouse, especially when the affair occurred here and there's video proof." She visibly paled. "You can't just kick me out," she whispered, stunned. "I'm not kicking you out," I corrected. "I'm offering you the option to leave voluntarily. Refuse, and I'll go through legal channels to have you removed." "You bastard!" she spat. I raised my eyebrows. "Really? After all you've done, I'm the villain?" She didn't reply. Instead, she stormed up the stairs to pack. While she was upstairs, I grabbed my phone and called Jim Patterson, my lawyer, leaving him a detailed voicemail outlining everything that had unfolded. When Lydia finally came back down with her suitcase, I was waiting near the entryway. "Do you have a place to go?" I asked. "I'll probably stay with Chris," she said under her breath. "Perfect," I replied with indifference. "You two deserve each other." She lingered at the doorway for a moment, hesitating. "Dave, I mean it. I'm sorry." I didn't blink. "No. You're sorry you got caught." "That's not the same." Once she was gone, I poured myself a double whiskey and retreated to my workshop, surrounded by handcrafted pieces of furniture built over years with care and precision. The space that once gave me purpose now felt hollow, tainted by betrayal. My home, my marriage, and the trust of my daughter, all fractured by her choices. But I wasn't done, not yet. The next morning, nursing a headache and driven by purpose, I started making moves. The first call was to Jim. "Dave, I heard your message," Jim said, voice tight. "This is a hell of a mess." "I want to go scorched earth," I told him. "What are my options?" "Well," he began carefully, "with a fault-based divorce, you're in a strong position. You'll likely keep the house, get primary custody of Maya, and receive a favorable division of property. As for the guy, If he entered your home without your permission, that could qualify as trespassing. What about their jobs? I asked. They work together. If the company has a policy against relationships between employees, HR will have to handle it. Do you know their policy? I'll find out, I said. Next, I contacted Lydia's boss, Patricia Walsh, the regional director. We'd spoken a few times at corporate events, and I knew she didn't put up with workplace drama. Patricia, it's Dave Mitchell, Lydia's husband. Oh, hi, Dave, she said pleasantly. How are things? I've had better days, I said. I'm calling because you need to be made aware. Lydia and Chris Brennan have been involved in an affair for the past 6 months. Silence stretched across the line. That's a serious allegation, she said at last. I have undeniable proof, I said. Home security footage, multiple incidents. During work hours? Would you be willing to share that footage with me? She asked. I'll send it over later today. She paused. Dave, once I receive the footage, I'll have no choice but to escalate this. Are you sure you want that? I'm certain, I said firmly. They've used your company's time and resources to carry on this relationship. Chris has been at my house during business hours. They've deceived colleagues. I need you to see it for yourself. I understand, she said. Please send everything you've got. After ending the call, I sat down and spent the next 2 hours compiling the footage. I arranged the clips by date and time, creating a clear, indisputable timeline of everything that had happened. I gathered a comprehensive set of evidence, time-stamped footage clearly displaying Chris's car parked in my driveway during regular business hours, along with audio recordings of him and Lydia having discussions about work while lying in bed together. Their faces were captured in high resolution, undeniable and unmistakable. I compiled it all into a file, complete with a thorough timeline and a log of specific dates the affair occurred during work hours, and sent it directly to Patricia. After that, I called Mrs. Feldman. Good afternoon, Mrs. Feldman. This is Dave Mitchell. Oh, hello, dear. How are you holding up? I'm managing, thank you. I also wanted to thank you for keeping an eye on the house. Your attention helped uncover what was really going on with Lydia. I had a feeling something wasn't right. That silver car was around far too often for it to be normal. Exactly. I just thought you should be aware, in case there's any neighborhood gossip. Lydia and I are getting divorced. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do for you? Actually, there is. If anyone asks what you saw, feel free to tell the truth. Mrs. Feldman had a reputation for being more effective than the local HOA bulletin. By dinner time, I knew word would be everywhere. Just before midday, my phone rang. Chris. You son of a bitch, he spat the second I answered. Hi there, Chris. Always a pleasure. Patricia just pulled me into her office. She saw your little documentary. How'd that conversation go? We're both suspended while they investigate. If they find cause, we're done. Fired. That's unfortunate. Maybe you should have thought about that before sneaking around with someone's wife on company time. You're ruining our careers over something personal. No, you turned it into a workplace issue when you used business hours for your affair, and it became my problem the moment you brought it into my home. Lydia's falling apart. She should be. Shame and regret are appropriate emotions right now. This wasn't supposed to go like this. Don't insult me. Every decision you both made was intentional. The only thing you didn't count on was getting caught. He disconnected the call. An hour later, Lydia phoned. Dave, please, she pleaded. You have to call Patricia and say you were wrong. I wasn't wrong. The only mistake here was yours. They're going to fire us. Do you seriously want me to lose my job? Lydia, your employment is no longer my concern. Neither is Chris's. What matters is the damage you did to this marriage and the humiliation you caused our daughter. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling, I'll cut Chris off. Just give me a chance. That window is closed. No, it hasn't. We can still work through this. No, Lydia. Even if this could be repaired, which it can't, I wouldn't want to. You've revealed your true self, and that person is not the woman I vowed to spend my life with. Her voice broke as she wept. I still love you, Dave. No, if you had, none of this would have happened. I ended the call and shut off my phone. Later that evening, Maya called from her grandparents' home. "Dad, Mom came over bawling and begged Grandma and Grandpa to talk to you." "What did they say?" "Grandpa told her she brought this on herself. Grandma wouldn't even let her through the door." "How are you doing, honey?" "I'm hurt, sad, but I'm proud of you, Dad." "You stood your ground." "That means more than you know, Maya." "Are you going to be okay?" "I will, and you will too." 2 days passed before Jim Patterson called with updates. "Dave, I've got one bit of good news and one not so good." "Let's hear the bad first." "Lydia hired a lawyer. She plans to fight the divorce." "And the silver lining?" "Her lawyer's a joke. He's claiming your home security footage was illegal and should be thrown out." "Any truth to that?" "None whatsoever. You had every legal right to install surveillance in your own house. That footage is entirely admissible and devastating to her case." "And what's the situation at their jobs?" "From what I've heard, both Lydia and Chris were officially fired yesterday. Violation of company policy." A quiet sense of vindication swept over me. "Is that right?" "Yep, your documentation nailed it shut. No room for interpretation. Their company had a firm zero-tolerance policy regarding workplace relationships, especially if they took place during business hours. The consequences were clear: immediate termination. So unsurprisingly, they were both let go. No jobs, tangled in ugly divorce battles, and their reputations in ruins as the details of their affair circulated. Served them right. The final piece of my plan fell into place that very weekend. Eddie called me early Saturday morning. "Dave, you need to get down here, now." "What's happening?" I asked. "Chris is at the bar. He's drunk off his ass and ranting about you." I was behind the wheel in under 5 minutes. When I walked in, I spotted Chris slouched over the counter, loud and clearly intoxicated, spilling every thought in his head to whoever would listen. "That guy's a nut job," he was saying. "Total control freak. Blew up my life over absolutely nothing." "Nothing?" I repeated as I stepped up behind him. "You're calling a 6-month affair with my wife nothing?" He turned slowly, swaying on his feet as he recognized me. "Dave! Speak of the devil, our local hero," he slurred. "You need to go sleep it off, Chris." "Sleep where?" he snapped. "I've got no place left. Lost my job, my girlfriend, everything. All because of you." "All because of me?" I said coolly. "I didn't tell you to sleep with a married woman. I didn't make you lie to your boss, or to mine. You did that on your own." "You set us up," he spat. "You knew we'd be there that night." "Of course I did," I replied calmly. "You'd been sneaking in for over 6 months. You weren't exactly subtle." At that point, the whole place had gone quiet. Every pair of eyes in the bar was on us. "You want to hear something real?" Chris bellowed. "Your wife chased me, told me you were boring in bed, boring at life, just a complete dead end." That was it. I grabbed him by the collar and slammed him back into the bar. "Boring," I growled. "You mean me, a man who built a home and a life from scratch, while you're 34, still living in the shadow of a high school football trophy and mooching off married women because you can't hold down a real relationship?" "Get your hands off me," he shouted, shoving at my arms. "You want honesty? Here it is. You're broke, unemployed, and nobody wants to be around you now that they know the truth." I released him and stepped back. "You've always been a joke, Chris." Crawling behind my back just made it official. He took a wild swing at me. I stepped aside easily, watching him stumble and crash headfirst into a table. "Eddie," I said calmly, "call him a cab. He's done here." As the bartender and a couple of patrons helped drag him out, still yelling, still making threats, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. Lydia lost her job, her husband, and whatever respect she had left. Chris came out even worse. That affair cost them everything, and honestly, they never saw it coming. I walked outside into the cool night breeze, leaving the noise of Murphy's Tavern behind me. For the first time in ages, I could finally breathe. Tomorrow would be a fresh start. But tonight I had my freedom back. A week later, Maya returned home. We sat on the couch, shared a pizza, and put on the kind of old movies we used to watch when she was little. During one of the commercial breaks, she turned to me. "Dad?" "Yeah, sweetheart." I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. For not letting them get away with it. I smiled. Thanks, kiddo. I'm proud of me too. 6 months went by and the divorce was finalized. I kept the house, gained primary custody of Maya, and walked away with most of our shared property. Lydia got a modest settlement and visits every other weekend. She moved out of state with whatever she could carry. Chris, last I heard, was living back with his parents. And me? I kept the cameras,